welcome to the Yaks Shack. Yaks started, it was the early 2000s. Nancy and Mike Kearns, they're the founders. You'll see them all the time, you'll hear about them all the time. Like, they are the backbone that almost everything in this place was built on. It was them and a group of friends sitting around. They were actually pastors at the time. And they were just sitting around like, what does our city need? And they felt like just community connection, people connection was something that the world was really lacking. So they're like, what if we brought Yaks Artistic, like a family room to our city? What would that look like? So after a few days of just going back and forth, they decided coffee. Like, everybody was opening up coffee shops at the time, so why don't we do it better than anybody else was? Everywhere else, their coffee was burnt or was old, food was out of a box, and they're like, so how can we do that differently? And Nancy's background was in advertising and marketing, and Mike was like a food artist, Mike is a food artist. And so they took both of their gifts and were like, how can we make this something incredible? So they decided to do that. We started roasting our own beans, making all of our own chocolates. All of our coffees were made in-house. We made all of our own pastries. So in trying to figure out where were we going to begin with that, they started just making coffees and serving them like as a delivery service. They would call up all the local doctor's offices, just any businesses around, and you guys want coffee today? Take their orders, bring the coffee, deliver it directly to them. That was kind of messy in its own way. Like, you've got coffee spilling all over the cars. That was like its own craziness. But they used the money from that to be able to give back to the community. So like, they were paying rent for single moms. One day they did like a free gas day to where anybody in town that wanted to come could get free gas at this one gas station. Like, the stuff that they did for the community was insane. And so the hype around Yaks got really, really big. Everybody loved it. People were coming from everywhere, and it just grew and grew and grew. So they ended up opening about 7 stores in Reading. Like, every other day they turned around and another building owner was approaching them like, can you put a Yaks here? Can you put a Yaks here? Because everybody wanted to be a part of what Yaks was. When you came into Yaks, like, you felt at home. The original Yaks was on Bocelli in Reading. And you would go in there and there would just be college students, families, just like piled on top of each other. People laying on the floor, people on their laptops, people on their phones, people eating. Like, you just came through those doors and nothing else mattered. When they opened the coffee shop in Mount Shasta, Dunsmuir was supposed to just be the commissary. And because there was 7 stores in Reading, Mount Shasta store was 8. Dunsmuir was supposed to be the commissary, and they're going to continue to open down I-5. But then the recession happened and Nancy and Mike were just burnt out. So they closed everything down in Reading and still had the store in Mount Shasta and had this awesome location right off the 5 in Dunsmuir. And we're like, what do we do with this now? So they're like, we love great burgers and beer, so burgers and beer it is. And that's what it became. So when I first moved to Mount Shasta, I was a server at a restaurant out here, a Thai restaurant. And Nancy and Mike, the founders, would come in all the time because the Yaks in Mount Shasta was just a few doors down. And so they came in all the time. I really got to know them. And one day I was like, are you guys hiring? And they were like, yeah. And then I was like, never mind. So like, we went back and forth probably like 3 or 4 different times of me being like, I'm gonna come, and then being like, never mind. So then finally one day I was like, I'm ready for a change. I'm gonna take the leap. And I went and worked for Yaks on the 5. While I was working at Yaks on the 5, I went up in rank super duper fast. They had just opened down there. We hadn't been open down there for very long, maybe 6-ish months. I came in as a front server, worked my way up to a lead, and I'd say probably within a year I was in management. So I was a part of a lot of the beginning phases at Yaks on the 5, and I was a GM down there while I was going to school in Weed at College's excuse for nursing. While I was managing down in Dunsmuir, I had only had 2 jobs before Yaks, no, actually 3, but most of my jobs were all in the service industry. So in doing that, I learned, even with nursing, like the part of nursing that I loved was helping other people, serving other people, in the fast-paced, crazy environment. And so food kind of has that also, just in a different way. So after graduating nursing school, but still continuing in the food industry during that whole time, once I was done, I graduated, I had my license and everything, I couldn't leave it. Like I was just so in love and just like addicted to the food industry. Like I didn't want to be done. And so I set like a timeline for myself. Like I'm gonna go back to work for 6 months, but in 6 months I'm gonna be done because like I gotta move on with my life. I can't stay here forever. So during that time though, Nancy kind of secretly hoped that I would have given up the nursing dream a while ago, but I just continued to pursue it because that's just always what I thought I was gonna do. So during those 6 months of kind of like my countdown to leave Yaks, I went to all these different conferences. And because Nancy really believed like I needed to get around people that thought like me, because business was never a thought for me. Honestly, at the time, I didn't even like coffee. I hated coffee. So I went to these events and I got around these people and it was like, whoa, like this is really cool. I felt more myself in those environments than I even did like inside of the hospital. So it was like, this is interesting, but now what? And at the time I was really young. So I'm pretty sure I graduated at 22. So I was like 21, 22 at the time. And I was trying to figure out, or no, I was 21. I was trying to figure out, I didn't want to be stuck here. Like I love Mount Shasta, it's beautiful, but to like go far in like a nursing career, like my mindset was like, I gotta be in a city. So I wasn't planning on staying around here super long. I had given my notice and a new manager had came in to fill my role. And the new manager that was coming in was actually, his name's Andy. And so he is who ended up buying the Yaks coffee shop, the last one standing in Mount Shasta, from Nancy and Mike. And when he was gonna come down to Dunsmuir to manage instead, that shop came up for sale. So I was like, a coffee shop, how hard could that be? Like I've been managing this burger and beer beast, I could totally do the coffee model. And so I was like, I wanna do it, because I was like, I could do that and I could still be a nurse, so why not? So I was like, can I please buy that shop? So it was July 2017 that I bought that shop. I was 22, I bought it it was like mid-June, and we had to be open by the 4th of July because in Mount Shasta, like if you were not open for the summer, you were gonna die. Like there's no way I would have survived. So we had to be open by 4th of July. So I bought this place with 2 weeks to get it open and knew nothing. Like all I knew how to do on day one was how to take orders on the screen. I didn't know how to make a coffee. I didn't know how to make food. I didn't know how to do anything. But with the team that I was surrounded by, we made it happen. We got that store open and it was amazing. And it was super, super cool. But very quickly I realized I don't want to go back to nursing. Like this is what I love. This is what I'm doing. And so I let my license expire, and because I knew if I let it expire, I would be fully committed. So I was just all in. So during that time, I very quickly was like, okay, so what are we gonna do next? Like if I'm letting my nursing degree go, what does the future of Yaks coffee look like? So with minimum wage on the rise and just the food industry in general changing with more counter service, people wanting things more fast and more efficient, we always felt like the coffee shop model, but with the burgers and beer, was gonna be like the ultimate model. But it always felt so far-fetched and kind of just like, how do we even make that happen? So for years and years and years, well, not years and years, I say that like it was so long, for like a year, we were like, how's that gonna happen? And so it was crazy because we always felt like this location that was across the street was the best location in town, always. But at the time it was a Mexican restaurant, it was called Dos Geckos. And Dos Geckos had been here for a while. She was a local lady. There was like no sign in like Dos Geckos ending. Well, my little brother worked here. And at the time of when I was thinking about like, I just had this bug of like, I want to do more. So like, where am I gonna open in Reading? Where am I going? What are we doing? We need to do more. And my brother came home one day and he was like, Dos Geckos is gonna sell. And so I was like, what? So right away I called me and said, Dos Geckos is gonna sell. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, how do I get it? And the craziest thing happened, so we were kind of talking about it and then it had kind of like chilled out. Well, so the owner of Dos Geckos and Nancy drive the same car. So one day the Dos Geckos, their accountant was coming to drop off payroll and put her payroll in Nancy's car. Yes. So then Nancy had to call the lady and go to her house and deliver her payroll. And then that's how the conversation of, do you want to sell to us, came up. So then it was like, okay, so now like we have the best location in Mount Shasta. This is the perfect opportunity to be able to create the dream Yaks model. 2.5 years later, because it was the craziest build out in the whole wide world, we came to the Yak Shack is what we evolved to. And with the Yak Shack, our biggest thing was how can we bring the best of both worlds? So like with Yaks, we do everything differently than most people do. Like people don't roast their own beans. Some do, but most don't. People don't make their own syrups. People don't make their own sauces. They don't make their own burger buns. They don't make their own bagels. People don't do what we do. So we were like, how can we do what we do, but bring it to the world? And then even more importantly than what we do flavor-wise, it's what we do with the experience. Like people love our food and they love our art, they love our vibe, but they love that they are important here and that they are seen here and they are felt like family here more than anything else. Yaks actually stands for Yes, Another Coffee Shop, but coffee with a K, because of course we have to do everything different. Our mission is to provide real food for real people with every person that enters our doors to get the full Yaks experience. We are a vibe. As soon as you walk up, you hear the music, you see the lights, you see the art everywhere. Art like art that you've never seen before in your life. And you smell the flavors just like billowing out of the door. You hear the laughter, you hear the fun. As soon as you enter Yaks, you're like, I'm at Yaks. Authentic joy is huge at Yaks. We hate lethargic, we hate fake. We like literally don't do fake at all. We are authentically excited to see every person that comes into our doors, whether it's staff or customers, or even the delivery guy that's dropping off our food. We are present and authentically excited to see everybody. No one does what we do. We roast our own beans, we make our own buns, we make our own bagels, we make our own sauces, we make our own syrups. Everything that we do is from scratch and has been very well thought through and intentionally created. We are fast and efficient. Being slow is not it. Our world is becoming more and more need it now, gotta go. So it's our job to deliver that. We want people to come in and know like Yaks got our back, Yaks is gonna get us taken care of, excited about our day and out the door onto whatever they gotta do next. We are standard driven. Standards and systems are our way of life. You're gonna hear that over and over and over. If you ask a question about anything, it's always gonna be, what is the standard? What is the system? And what standards and systems do is they ensure consistency. So whether you're a staff that needs to show up knowing what you're doing today every single day, or you're a customer and you eat the same bagel for breakfast every single day, it's the standards and systems that make sure that when you show up, you're clear, you're set up for success, you know what you're doing, but then also that Sally that comes and gets her same bagel every single day is the same no matter who's making it. At Yaks, we look up. Nowadays society, everybody's so wrapped up in their phone, nobody's present, nobody gives a rip about anybody that's in front of them. And at Yaks, that's something that we really value. We value looking up and being present with who's in front of us. Sometimes it's crazy what just looking up and intentionally looking at somebody and saying hello or how are you, what that can do for someone. I've been on the other side of the bar making drinks and asked someone, how's your day? Tears. Like, you don't realize how often people aren't asked that anymore. So at Yaks, that's something that we really value, is just being present with who's in front of you and creating memories with every person as often as we can. We find a way to win. We believe that there's never a situation that there can't be a solution for. Our motto is easy fix. Say you're a customer and you come in and you got the completely wrong drink. You got a hot coffee and a bagel and you were supposed to have a cold coffee and a burrito. Easy fix, we solve it. No questions asked. There's always a way to win, so we always find it.